Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Burly Nathan Show. I am your host and MC, Burly Nathan. I just want to say a great big thank you to everybody who has been following the show so far. After every airing and every episode launches, I get a bunch of messages from people saying how much they enjoy the show, how interesting it is to listen to. I actually had a lot of folks message me after the last episode with my friend Drew Street, telling me how they loved our interview together, hearing about our back and forth and our time together on stage, and then the bonus content at the end of the show. If you haven't listened to the last episode, episode 8, you should go do so and hear some fun little audio content that we dropped in right at the very end. It goes without saying, just go and enjoy it. I once again need to do a quick shout out to our sponsor, adamandeve.com. If you go to adamandeve.com and you use promo code BURLY, B-U-R-L-Y at checkout, you'll get 50% off your first item. You'll get 10 free gifts, free shipping. Now, those 10 free gifts, when I say free gifts, they're going to send you, I believe it's 6 or 7 adult items. I'm not sure what they are. That's an assortment of different things. Sometimes I've gotten handcuffs. Sometimes I've gotten other more risque things that I will just, I'll leave to the imagination there. A lot of really cool stuff. You'll also get 3 movies. I'm not sure what those are. If you guys happen to get, if you go on adamandeve.com, use promo code and you get those gifts, let me know what they are. I'm interested to see if it's a different type of gift that I've gotten in the past. But anyway, head to adamandeve.com, spice up your sex life, spice up your life with your partner, your mistress, whoever, or get it as a funny gift for a coworker. I don't care. Just don't get sued. And don't tell them that it was because of me that you did it. Head over to adamandeve.com, use promo code BURLY, B-U-R-L-Y at checkout. It gets you 10 free gifts, free shipping. It's very discreet. And then a portion of the proceeds goes to help my show, goes to help me keep the lights on in the dang studio. And it gives me the fodder to continue to do this crazy show. Now we are on episode 9 tonight. I'm so excited for the guest tonight. The guest that I'll have on is one of my great friends in the burlesque and theater industry. Her name is Della-Kate Flower. She and I have been friends for a few years now. We've gotten closer over the last year or so. And so with my interview with her, you're going to hear some really cool stories and just get to know Della a bit more. Also, and I wanted to make sure that folks know this too. When you are listening to the show, sometimes interviews might have a bit of a different audio quality than what you're hearing right now. Some of our interviews are here in studio. Some of our interviews are virtually because a lot of my friends and guests are out of state. So forgive me if the audio quality on some of the interviews isn't spectacular. We're using digital means, and we know how that can go sometimes. So anyway, my interview with Della-Kate Flower will be coming up here in a few minutes. Also, be sure to subscribe and tune in because episode 10 of the show, I am so thrilled. We've actually already recorded the show. It is with my wife, Taryn, who some of you may know, some of you may not. But you should absolutely tune in to episode 10 of the show. It's a wild ride through my life with her, and you get to hear a bit more about her, a bit more about me, things you may not already know. So be sure to tune in. That should be an amazing episode as well, and you guys should really enjoy that. One thing I've been trying to do on this show is be more authentic and kind of just have it like I'm speaking to you as a friend. Right, you're listening to my podcast because something I've said or done has given you enough of a reason to want to listen to my ramblings. I want to speak to you as a friend. I want to speak to you as somebody who you might know or you may not. I'm happy to just be that calming presence, if at all possible, and just have fun conversations with people in the business, people not in the business, whatever, and just make it feel like you're just sitting into a friend's conversation at a coffee shop or at a party or whatever. I've tried over my many, many years of being an adult to try to be a warm presence, somebody people can talk to and just listen to and not feel judged and whatever. We're all just here on this big fucking chunk of rock floating around in the universe. And you, of all the things you decided to do, you're listening to me talk. So I might as well treat you with respect and give you something interesting to listen to. If you have any suggestions for things that you want me to talk about or people that you want me to have on the show, feel free to follow me on all the platforms at Burly Nathan, B-U-R-L-Y, Nathan, kind of spelled that way. Find me on TikTok, Instagram. You can find me on Facebook if you want to, Nathan Doherty. I may or may not be able to accept your friend request because Facebook still has this thing where you can only have 5,000 friends, and I've reached that limit. So anyway, if I like you enough and you're cool and your profile photo is like fun, I may delete some old friends to make room for you. But anyway, you can find me on all the platforms. Reach out to me. Alistair said this on the episode that he was on, and I'm kind of wanting to echo the same thing. That if you are somebody who just needs somebody to talk to, you're dealing with some stuff in your life that might be tough. You're dealing with loss, you're dealing with rejection, or you just want somebody to talk to because you're having a good day and you want to, chime in and scream it from the rooftops that you're having a good day and you want to tell somebody, you can always reach out to me at Burly Nathan. I'd be happy to chat with you if time allows. And I love to speak. I don't think there's ever been a person who's ever messaged me from this podcast that I haven't engaged with in conversation. So I'm not too big for my britches where I can't talk to people who have taken the time out to listen to my show and to support me. So just by listening, you're helping keep the show afloat and keeping it going. So the least I can do is talk to you if you need somebody just to be an ear. I'm happy to do that. So just wanted to put that out there and just let you know that you're not alone, and that if you ever need somebody to talk to, or you just want to listen to the show for pure entertainment and just to, leave the world behind for an hour, then great. I've done my job. That's my main reason for doing this. I wanted to talk to people from lots of different lifestyles and lots of different upbringings, and bring people together for the good of comedy and for the good of just entertainment. But anyway, all right, folks, we have reached the section of the show where I'm going to interview my guest. I am when I was putting together this podcast and putting together my top 10, I guess you could say, for the guest that I wanted to have in the first 10 episodes. This person was definitely on the list for more than one reason, and you'll find out why today. She and I have worked together for a few years now, more intimately over the last year or so, like I said earlier in the show. And so I'm like, you know what? I got to bring her on. And tonight, here with me, virtually all the way from Gainesville, Florida, Della-Kate Flower. How's it going?
Mr. Nathan.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling good tonight.
I am thrilled that you are here. I am excited to chat with you. I told a few people that you were going to be on the show, and they're like, hell yeah, I've got to make sure to tune in. It's probably people that are, scared of you, which is not uncommon, I'm sure.
Well, they call me Mama Dragon for a reason.
Yep, and there is multiple reasons for that, and we are going to dig into that going on. So folks who do not know you, that may not be versed in who you are and what you do, introduce yourself and give us your bio, your elevator speech.
Okay, my name is Della-Kate Flower. I am years old. I actually like to think of myself as infinite.
There you go. Never ending.
Yeah, I've been burlesque. I was a burlesque performer. I'm semi-retired now, but I was a burlesque performer for 7 years here in Florida and all around the Southeast. And in the middle of all that, I thought, hey, why don't I produce something? I'm a theater kid. I could do it. And I started producing and created Purple Nightshade Productions. And then after that first show, which was fucking hilarious. And yes, by the way, everybody, I have a sailor mouth when I start drinking, and I'm drinking really good booze tonight.
Yeah, people know when they listen to the show, it's going to be fucks here, shits there, motherfucker.
Listen, motherfucker.
Absolutely. Anyway. And you said you were drinking. What is your drink of choice
tonight?
I'm
drinking Lambic Framboise. It is one of my favorite things and one of the few things I can actually drink and not die the next day.
Yes, we don't need you.
Because when you reach the age that I am, your liver kind of says, you know what? No. You can now stop all of that shit over there, and you can only have these things. So I covet them like some troll, just like, give me the bottle, and just kind of crawl away. But anyway, I produced my first show in Gainesville out of a tiny little theater who happened to be friends of mine, and that show basically sold out. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this now. So between performing, I was producing shows, and then I decided to get behind the mic because one of the hosts decided to get sick, literally vomit in the parking lot, and I said, go home. You obviously are not well enough to do the show, and that's not a slam. That's just the truth. Go clean yourself up, blah, 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 blah. And I grabbed the mic and I started hosting, and it was a blast. Like, I had a great time. And to be honest, my day job, which I cannot talk about because they get real itchy about the nighttime stuff.
Right.
I literally, if you think about it, I'm on the stage 4 or 5 days a week. So in front of people. So basically, it was not a big deal for me to grab the mic and just start, talking shit. And
right.
After that, I was like, well, this is easy. I'm going to do this more. So yeah, that's kind of been me for the last, I think this is my 8th year of being in the burlesque universe.
That's great.
And I have traveled to the West Coast and back and up and down the East Coast. I've done Burley Picks. I am the I am the 20, I think it's 19. It's been a few years. 2019 Master of Improv and Master of Lip Sync.
You know, I believe that was the year, either that I judged that year or the year before. You performed in one of them that I judged.
Oh my gosh.
And I can't remember if it was, and that was like one of my first exposures to you, because I remember you were did you do it more than 2019?
I did it the first year just out of, let me see if I can do this. And so when I got in, I kind of was floored because I was like, I'm not, as I like to tell my close friends, I ain't nobody. I don't know.
Okay, so, I just checked back in my calendar. I actually judged in 2018, so not 2019.
Yeah, so probably 2018. 2018, I think I did it, and then I didn't do well, and I was just horribly embarrassed and got in my little car and drove home crying because I was like, I remember this.
Because I remember I loved your performances during that.
Thank you.
So because that's one of the, like I said, one of my first exposures to you, and that's when I started following you, actually, I think. Because there's other people that I know competed that year that, anyway. So, anyway, no, that was great. So, so you said it was Master of Improv and
Master of Lip Sync. Yes.
Nice. What was the lip sync that you did that year?
Well, it was one of my formerly favorite artists known as Lizzo. And she did a song called Phone, and I thought, well, what if I actually just acted out this song, because the song is about losing your cell phone at a club with your friends and having to go home at 4:00 in the morning with no shoes on and the whole thing. So I said, well, what if this was an act? And so I made an entire act, and at the end of the act I sit on the floor eating a bag of chips because I'm quote unquote home, and I ripped my wig off and throw it into the audience. And I lip sync, and well, one of the, the drag folk who were in the audience that night were like, you hit every single word. And I'm like, listen, I learned the first year, I got to come correct to this thing. I want to look good. I want to feel good. I want to represent Gainesville, and I just want to do well. And so when I won both medals, I pretty much started crying because I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
You guys like me, okay?
You like me. You really like me.
Well, I mean, entertainment's a tough business. You know that. It's a tough business, and I'm going to say this on your podcast. It's not very friendly to the aged, which I am one. It's a very young run business and young trending business. And what I mean by that is everybody wants the fresh new toy, like, oh my God, look at the shiny toy in the window. Right. Screw this other one we were playing with last week. We want this one. And while that's not a bad thing, because there's talent that comes out of Florida all the time, and I think that's absolutely incredible to just see. When you start burlesque in your late 40s, people kind of go, huh?
Right.
So that was a really big moment for me. It was to realize that I was about to get on a plane and go to Ohio and represent Florida and meet people who had no idea who the hell I was and get up there and do the things.
That's great. I mean, honestly, and I think in this business, I mean, I'm sure you can attest to this, and many can, is like, really, you can do this at any age, obviously legal age, of course, but like there's a way to do it in every bracket.
Yeah, there are people out there right now, like in their first and second years, who started later than I did.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hell yes, you did. Like, do it. And like, I joke around with people on podcasts. I'm like, listen, there's a lot of people out here with some mommy issues. And the minute they figure out I look like mommy, that's just the money comes from the sky. I had a guy give me $100 once in my G-string in Jacksonville, of all places, because he was just like, you smell like he couldn't even get a sentence out. He was like, and I'm standing there literally boobs out, thong on, the whole thing, and he almost got the $100 into my G-string, and his wife, who happened to be sitting next to him, smacked his hand and was like, oh, you're giving her $100.
Oh my goodness. That's great. So you had the mommy vibes.
Right. So I looked right at her. I said, no, you do it. And I was so serious. And I looked this woman right in her face and said, you give me the $100. And I walked home with $100 that night because I looked her dead in the face without blinking and just smiled real big and leaned forward. I was like, you give me the $100.
And that is why you are who you are. And that's
exactly.
Why you fucking win in.
You're gonna work it out, baby. It's gonna work it out in the next 5 minutes so I can get that money.
I love it. That is pure perfection. Like that, and I think thinking on your feet like that, and that's like a common thing that I don't see people do, truthfully, is like being able to think of something interesting and funny off the cuff, and there you go, walked away with $100 and you diffused the situation too, because I know that happens.
I use a lot of, I've been a theater kid since I was 19. I've worked in theaters. I had a degree in theater from college, quite by accident, because I took so many damn classes. My advisor at the time was like, do you know you have a minor, pretty much like one more class and this is a minor? And I was like, cool, what can I take? And I just love, I'm a backstage person. It's really strange. Like, I didn't mind being on stage. Sometimes I found it really fun if I liked my act or if I felt comfortable, in the space. But being backstage, producing and making sure that everybody has what they need and watching from the wings or watching from the sound booth, there's no rush like it for me.
Right.
There really isn't. And I tell people in this business we do have conversations about the shop talk, I guess. And I said, listen, there are producer performers and then there are performer producers.
Yep. That is very true.
You'll be able to tell who is who. Yeah. And again, I'm not trying to be mean, but that's just the truth. And I completely agree. Not one is better than the other one. Truthfully. Right. Not one is better than the other one. But I just do, sometimes I see which foot gets stepped forward, and that creates a different environment every time.
Right. And I think people sticking to their lanes and sticking to what they know they do best. I mean, I've been there. I know how it goes because I've crossed the divide. I'm not a burlesque performer, but I'm a stage performer, and I went into producing and back and forth. And it's a completely different animal. Like, there have been times when like I wanted to bash my head against a wall because the production was it was not going great, or the lead up to it wasn't great. And I'm like, most performers don't really ever see this side of show production.
No. And
you and I have taught classes on this, literally. And like, it's tough for performers to go, oh, that's what goes into it before, they show up to a show, an hour when you're out there at their call time, which is when they should be there when you're a performer. And they don't see that the 4 hours leading up to it, we were putting out every fire known to man. Just so they could come in.
I'm about to put on a festival. So I'm just like, we're going to stock this fridge with lambic for like 2 weeks. Are you a salesperson for Lambic? Because you have gotten me so convinced at this point. Well, it's in my house and it's in my cup. So everybody has, I think everybody who drinks alcohol still like has their drink. Right. Even people who are sober have their drink. Like, this is my drink. I will drink this until I'm in the coffin, and even then, you're going to put it in my hands in a cup and fold my hands over it and put me down with it. Like,
those are going to be the treasures we bury you with.
Literally, like, it's just going to be that way. And so, if I'm talking about lambic this and lambic that, it's because I don't normally get to have it.
Right.
And so it's just kind of like, this is a treasure. Yay! It's kind of like if I order expensive rhinestones, they sit in the box for like months because I'm just so scared to use them because I never get to have the expensive rhinestones. So I'm just I don't know if I want to put them on anything because they're really expensive.
I just want to preserve. We want to preserve them.
And then I just, I have a moment of fuck this, and I just stick them all over something and don't care after that.
I can hard relate to that. All right, so I have some burlesque questions and industry questions that I want to ask you, and in this section of the show, and then afterwards we're going to dive into you as a person, not a stage persona. So I have some questions that I want to ask that I've asked some other performers as well, because I just want to see what the things are. And one of our most popular questions that I have asked before that people love the answers to: if burlesque had its own Olympics, what event would you dominate, and what would your signature move be?
Chariot races. Because I would be in the actual chariot whipping, just like go.
Perfect. And
just like having all of whoever just pull the chariot.
I love that you went original Olympics and not current Olympics. You went back in there. That's good. All right, I love it. So if anybody wants to hire Della-Kate to do a chariot act, you can do it at Chariots of Fire.
Well, I do have a dragon act, so my brain sometimes sticks in the past. In terms of just like what is hilarious back then that would be hilarious now. Can you imagine chariot races in the modern Olympics?
Oh, I could.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone goes, what?
I would. I'm all about that. I mean, so what you could do is you could be a dragon, but in a chariot that's being pulled by like a regular human.
Correct.
Done. Perfect. All right. I love that. That's an amazing answer. Do you subscribe to any superstitions or like theatrical tropes like that? Do you actually believe in any? And if so, what are they?
Well, if I'm going to preface this with, I am a practicing witch, so superstition is kind of our jam.
Right.
But as far as theater superstition, the ghost light.
Yeah.
100% the ghost light. And I have a little story. When the theater I used to work in, we had a ghost, and her name is Midge. And Midge, we dug up the history about Midge. Midge was a child, because the building used to be, I think, a school or something way back in the 1800s. And Midge unfortunately perished in the school. Well, her spirit lives in the theater. If you don't leave a ghost light on, the next day you open the theater to get in there and do whatever, absolute chaos. Costume room, a wreck. Back door open. Sets ripped. Wow. Seats overturned. Like it's like somebody just went in there and just started damaging everything. And there's a security camera at the back door and in the front door because, people are weird. And they check the footage every time. And I'm just like, it's the ghost light. You got to leave the light on for Midge, or else she just gets, or all the light settings are wrecked after hours of setting them. So literally, I think one afternoon I was in there because I was the costume mistress for a show. And the lights were being crazy, and the woman who was our lighting person was just tearing her hair out. And I literally stood on the stage and yelled as loud as I could, Midge, knock it off. I got a light here for you. I'm going to turn it on before I leave. I promise. Like loud as hell. And everyone looked at me like I was high. Like they're what? Can I tell you that 2 minutes later, those lights were fixed?
Yep. There you go. There's your answer. I said,
she doesn't like the dark. She's a kid. Put the light on. So now, wherever I am, put the light on.
All right.
Like, I can't even have my house dark. Like, I will have a light on in the kitchen. Because I'm like, I'm not having it. I'm not having restless spirits just upend things because they're upset. Like, I'm not having it.
I can completely agree with you on that. I worked in a theater for the last decade or so. One of the oldest theaters here in Florida. And we didn't necessarily have like one of the tall like ghost light things that you normally would see like on a Broadway stage, and probably what you guys had. We have like a little side floodlight to the side of the stage that we would keep on every single night. And we would notice that if that light wasn't on, there would be issues the next day. We've had shows before where in the middle of a show, the power will go out completely, or the sound cues will all change. Like you said, lights being all janky. So
they don't like it. I mean, if you know you have an entity or any kind of energy in your space, you need to work with it.
Oh yeah.
One of the first places in Gainesville that ever had burlesque shows was a place called Market Street. And, RIP Market Street. We all miss that place. It was an absolutely fantastic place to have shows. And there was a ghost that haunted that place called Uncle Gary. Huh. And the building used to be a hotel back in the 1800s, to the point where it still had the dumbwaiter that went upstairs. Yeah. So every time you open the bar, you greet Uncle Gary, good evening, Uncle Gary. And every time you left, good night, Uncle Gary. Miss those greetings. You come the next night, floods.
Wow.
Toilets broken.
Uncle Gary was vindictive.
The computer erased everybody's music. Like, it was just...
Sheesh.
I mean, he was not having it.
He needed his attention.
He was not having it. So I just, to this day, and just through my practice as a kitchen witch, I'm just like, if there is energy in the space, just respect the energy.
Right.
Which, can be for phantasmic and also corporal, apply. Like, if there's actual people in the space, that's why I tell people backstage, I'm like, look, just respect the energy back here. If everybody's feeling off, don't start shit. Let everybody get ready and let's do the things. If everybody's in a silly, goofy mood, then respect the energy.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think some people have a hard time reading the room, literally, and sometimes it'll come back to bite you.
Listen, there's not enough time on this podcast for that shit. Okay, because you and I could both delve into that.
We sure could. All right. So this is just a random question that I have. If burlesque acts and routines are based on breakfast foods, which one would you be?
I'd be coffee.
You'd be coffee.
Yeah, I'd be that first shot of what?
and it keeps you awake.
It's like, don't talk to me until this happens.
All right. I love it. That true words cannot be spoken. I
mean,
All right. What is the most, I want to say, I don't know what word I would use, avant-garde or crazy venue that you've ever performed in? What's something like a wild stage that you've been on?
Oh my gosh. Probably, what's the most wild stage? Honestly, I think as far as avant-garde, I would have to say Market Street, because it's a pit situation. There wasn't like a stage like it. We had to kind of create a stage with curtains and the flat riser at the end of the dance space, but most of it was a pit in the round. So we performed in the pit almost like gladiators.
Oh wow.
And everybody sat around us. And then you would move from the pit to the audience and maybe to the stage, and like you had moved everywhere. So that was kind of a crazy perspective to have. Kind of fun, but also like, okay, now I have to navigate how I'm going to get through this and that and this. And then I think the most glam one I've ever been on is the one in Ohio when I went for Burley Picks. Like, this was a full-on 3-story club with the huge stage on the second floor with every light you could possibly imagine, the back wall lit up, and you were literally 2 feet above the audience. Like, it was huge. And I got on that stage in my Starbucks outfit. I have a pumpkin spice latte act that I still have, to do the improv section. And I was just like, I'm gonna die because I don't have glasses on and I can't see shit. So I have to know where the end of the stage is. And that's something about me that a lot of people forget. I don't wear glasses when I host or when I perform. I don't wear them because they get in the way. So I'm completely blind. So I have to know where the edges of the stage are and where I'm allowed to go, so I know how to move or I know how to gesture or whatever. But it proves pretty funny because on a stage like the Ohio one I just described, I kind of froze for about the first 10 seconds of the improv music because I was like, I don't want to fall. Where can I move? Okay, I'm going to move to the side. So I started doing it. But yeah, it wasn't intimidating. It was just like, Jesus, can we bring this back to Florida? Holy shit.
That would be so great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, those are the 2 most odd stages that I've ever performed on. I will tell you the oddest dressing room I was ever in.
Yes.
It was an old church.
Oh boy.
It had pews and big old, Jesus crucifix at the front. I was like, oh, we literally are Horrors of Babylon up in this bitch. Okay. We're all just getting dressed in the pews and propping up mirrors, and it was hilarious. I think half of us took pictures on the altar because we were just like, yes, we cannot pass up this opportunity to be the Horrors of Babylon on this damn pew.
You got to dance for Daddy God. What can you say?
I mean, you know what? He made it, so we're just going to show it off.
I was about to say, just do it in his image, whatever. Literally, right there.
People forget that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute. I'm like, listen, we have a patron saint, bitches.
And you will be here to remind people.
I mean, if it's not Dolly Parton, it's got to be her.
Correct. All right, the next question that I have is what is a potential common misconception that people may have of you as a performer in this persona? What's a misconception that they might have of you that you could clear up right here and right now?
That I'm a bitch.
All right.
You laugh. Like, people are very standoffish around me because of my age and because of the way I direct things. And I'm not doing it to be mean or curt or anything else. I'm doing it because I know that the show is going to work better if we're all clear about what needs to happen. And that way it leaves room for performers to improv and to move around and to do the things if they know what the limitations are. And so I get really quiet and I kind of get into my own universe, and I just, if I'm hosting, I'm looking at my cards and making sure I can read them because blind, as I said earlier. And just making sure everything is everything. I'm not quiet because I don't like you. I am not quiet because you are not saying anything interesting. I am not quiet because your voice is annoying or your humor is weird or whatever you may be putting in your brain. Not like that for me. I am quiet because my brain is like, okay, we have to start at 9:00, and then I have to grab the mic and I got to do the rules. And then after the rules, excuse me, we're going to play a game. And blah, 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 blah. My brain is starting to go through the show to make sure we have what we need. It's the backstage kid kicks in.
Mm-hmm. And I think people take that like they think when you're in your prep mode and that sort of thing, people it's once again have a hard time necessarily like judging the situation and seeing what's going on, because you don't know, when we're backstage, we're not all just chippers, screaming, excitable. That's what we're doing on stage. Backstage and in the prep phase, kind of, leave us alone and we're gonna be fine. We don't hate you, like you said.
Yeah, and I just think also because I'm older, a lot of people assume that I don't give a shit about their voice or opinions or viewpoints or whatever, because I'm like, I'm this old. I don't shut up, youngin. Like they think I'm that. I'm like, I'm so not.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, you really like I'm get off my lawn when it comes to drama that doesn't affect me or the people I work with.
I get you.
Then I'm just like, go over there with that. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna be friends with who I'm friends with. I'm going to hang out with who I'm going to hang out with, and I'm going to hire who I'm going to hire. You don't have to like any of it.
There you go.
But you're not coming over here with that garbage. Like,
hell yeah, that's
boring.
the right kind of mindset, truthfully. And to, I mean, because obviously you can be a people pleaser without bending over backwards and letting people take advantage of you. You can be a good person.
I'm going to quote a 1980s movie here. I think it's oh God, what is it called? It has Danny Glover as a cop, and it was like really old movie. Yeah, I'm going to blank. But anyway, but he says sometime in the movie, he says, I'm too old for this shit. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I'm like, I'm too old for this shit. So when I sense things are just going stupid and it's not my show, I'm like, I'm going to go over here.
Yep.
And y'all deal with that shit over there. Or
I find myself saying I'm too old for this shit, even in my early 20s. So like, I completely get that.
Stop. And my friends, it's funny. My friends who are in their 30s or mid 30s, just like, this is fucking. I was like, yeah, you're reaching the I'm too old for this shit phase. Yep. It's okay.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so people assume that I don't care and I don't want to listen and or I'm a bitch or what. I'm like, I'm not. I just like things the way that I like things. And having expectations and having desires is not the same as bitch. If I wanted to be a bitch, I'd be like, yeah, your act sucked. Never working for me again. And I would do that at the show, in the dressing room, after you've just bled all over the stage. You know what I mean? Like that would be a bitch. Or me posting, here are the following people I never worked for, never worked with. They're pieces of shit. They haven't done anything problematic or dangerous. They're just pieces of shit. Like, you know what I mean? I don't do that either.
Right.
Like, I just don't.
No point.
Yeah. So I'm not, guys, I'm not a bitch. Most of the time I want to be involved in your conversation because you're talking about stuff I actually know about.
Right.
Or not because I want to direct you, but because I'm like, hey, that's really cool. Did you guys see this episode when they did that? Or somebody cracks a weird joke and I'm like, oh my God, I have the perfect comeback for that. But then I don't say anything because you're all looking at me like,
yeah, I totally
she hates us. And I'm like, I don't know.
No. That's why people like the whole, I mean, I know it's a cliche, but the whole judging a book by its cover sort of situation. Taryn is the same way. I'm the same way. Like sometimes people just don't take the time to get to know you and then realize that there's a gooey center in there somewhere. But
I'm going to get astro girly here for a minute because that's kind of my thing. I love being astro girly. And because I also read tarot cards and I'm an Aquarius and that's what we do. So I'm an Aquarius sun, I'm a Taurus moon, and I'm a Cancer rising. And if you know anything about astrology, your rising is what people see when they look at you. And the sun is what you try to put out forward. And the moon sign is who you are in the bathroom at 3 a.m. So people see a caring, nurturing, kind of quiet, steady person, but kind of bitchy, because Cancers are kind of bitchy.
Correct.
They are. So if I just stare at you and don't talk, it's not because you're saying something dumb or irrelevant. It's just because I'm processing what you're saying and I'm giving you the chance to actually be heard. And I also think that's another issue. And that's just not me in general. That's just people. I'm like, does no one ever actually just sat there and shut up and listened to you before? Because it's quite obvious they haven't. And so the friends who really know me like really closely over the last 8 years of being in the business, they know that I know how to shut up and listen.
Yeah, and that's a good trait to have, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Especially in this business where we're very self-absorbed in some ways, and
we all are.
Yeah,
we all have egos.
We all do. And like, I mean, fuck, we're on a podcast I named after myself. Like, give me good grief. But like, there is a way to have that ego. Why I call it the healthy ego, because in this business, you have to have one. You have to self-promote. You have to be your biggest advocate, truthfully. But there's a way to do it without being insufferable.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between being cocky and being confident.
Yep, exactly.
But there's also a big difference between being assertive and being aggressive.
Yep. Nailed it.
Quicker that we out here in the business, and I'm going to say business a lot because this is business, guys. We're not doing summer camp over here. In the business, you learn the difference real quick, because if you're the person in charge, then you have to be assertive and make sure that everybody is taken care of and that the money is right and that the light hits this person and all that stuff. Being aggressive means that you're being you're being overly loud, I guess, and not necessarily volume, but just you're saying really direct things when it's not necessary.
Right. It's not the right time for that sort of situation.
Right. So assertive and aggressive is a big difference, and so is cockiness and confidence. I can be confident in my shows, or confident in my cast, or confident in whatever we're trying to put out, and then if it goes well, or if I sell out, I'll get a little cocky about it, be like, I sold out a show, woo, and that's not me saying I'm better than you. It's just like, god damn, I did something.
Yeah, you're allowed to be,
and I'm proud.
That's right. You should be able to toot your own horn when something has gone well. Especially now, the thing is, when you're producing a show, when I'm producing a show, like if we're tooting our horn, it's because not only me, but 10 of my closest friends and show members are also getting to revel in the success too. And the fact that you put a lot of people,
money for them. I mean,
right, more money for them.
Let me just be real. Like, you're going to get more money than I said you would. Yay!
Right. And I know people that have been in your shows and in your festivals and the things that you've coordinated who are like, holy shit, I'm a part of this. This is a cool thing to be.
Aww,
trust me, I do. And I can't wait for the day when I get to do one of your shows, and vice versa. So like,
you gotta get a little weirder first, Nathan.
I know. And I know with your help and you being one of my closer friends now, I think I can get weirder by the day. I'm sure.
Oh, good.
I have a few things actually that are in the works that I will tell you about offline, because I'm not gonna push it out here. But there's some things that I'm gonna be experimenting with at the Graveyard Show over at Ybor.
Nice.
You've done the Graveyard Show, and you're actually I think you're on the poster too.
No, I am not.
I saw you on something. I don't know.
I am not on the poster. I was on the poster when I did the show.
Okay. Oh, that's probably what I'm thinking. That's probably what I'm thinking. Because I'm not on the main one either. One day maybe I'll guilt River into it. Anyway, so no, I'm gonna try some weirder shit out, and then because I'm getting into my arc now where, like you, I'm doing more emceeing, and you and I are we MC shows all over the fucking place, and
listen, if they ever put us together on a stage, it's going to be fucking weird.
It absolutely will. Do you know? It was funny. I was talking with, I can't remember who it was. It was another performer friend that said that, like, if you put me, you, and Alistair and a couple others like on a stage together, God, could you imagine if
Florida ever has like a huge burlesque festival again? Florida used to have the Florida Burlesque Festival, which we don't speak of really, because but if they ever have a huge festival, like a huge, this is Florida kind of thing, like Ohio has the Ohio Burlesque Festival that they do, they've done for 20 years. So if we ever do something like that, yes, put us all on the stage like it's the Tonight Show, and it will just be ridiculous. Like it will be the Oscars times 20. We will just act like complete fools.
What I want to do
on
at
stage
some point,
with each other.
What I want to do at some point soon as well is, after we've done like probably maybe 15 episodes, 20 episodes of this podcast, I want to start doing group shows. And one of the thoughts that I had in mind was an MC forum. Because one of the things that I've been noticing, and I've thought about doing classes on this too, is the world of emceeing is a lot different than people think it is. It's not the same as the world of performers. And it
is and it's not. I could probably debate you on that, but it is and it is not.
Certain parts of it, I mean, are like when it comes to pay and how it's like how being an MC is handled. Like there's a lot of different things that I've heard recently that you probably wouldn't be super thrilled to know about, that I'm hearing is being pushed around as MC norms. But like there's some differences that people don't know and some that they may. So like I would love to get a bunch of us MCs together to talk about our experience in doing that sort of thing.
I could list that show for you. Like me, you, Alistair. You're going to get Ramcat Jackson on that because he is hilarious.
Ramcat's on my list for individual shows coming up soon, so people will definitely be hearing
Ramcat. And then Barbarella Brown also hosts her own show, so we need to get her on there. And who else would be so good to get?
The ones that are listening right now are like, please say my name.
You know what? We could probably snag Cabana Macabre because she's hosted a lot.
Yes, I know.
Seen her
she's on my list for the show as well.
But yeah, like if we all got in a round table and just busted out the whatever, whoever's drinking, whoever's not drinking, it would that podcast alone would be 2 hours.
It sure would. Yeah, we need to do an extended episode.
On each other for like a good 45 minutes.
Hell yeah, that would be a great representation of the Florida talent that we have.
Oh, so, you want to host? Okay.
Yeah, we will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly for what goes on doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. All right, I got a couple more burlesque questions before we start digging into the deeper stuff. So what is the weirdest item or silliest item that you have ever used in an act?
Oh my God. The silliest item I've ever used in an act. I have two. The first is going to be a homemade apple bong that I know, right? That I remember, because I can't. This is me telling you and everybody else. Most people know I cannot smoke weed. I can't be around weed at all.
Right.
I am highly allergic to it, and so which sucks. There are some nights I'm just like, but why? So I had an act called Whiskey, Weed, and Waffle House, and it was a hilarious act about the morning after, like going out and partying. Right. And the song talks about, Whiskey, Weed, and Waffle House being the cornerstone of living. And so I start the act off by misplacing my bong. And then I'm like, I'm going to take an apple. So I take an apple and you literally watch me core it on stage and then stick a pipe in it and then just act like I'm smoking. It's great. So stupid. I've actually seen somebody make an apple bong before, which is fucking hilarious.
Oh, I've seen those too. Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, listen, if you could figure out a way for the smoke to go out and in you and all that other, make it out of whatever. I don't give a shit.
Yes. I've seen the weirdest thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the silliest thing that I've done. And then the silliest prop I was given was actually when I won Master of Improv, I was given a slice of pizza, like a fake slice of pizza, a big foam slice of pizza, and I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And that's what won me because I turned it into like Jesus. I started worshiping the pizza.
Perfect, delightful, best way to get.
And I actually became a nun. I pulled my panel skirt above my head and made a little veil and like started praying to the pizza. And people were screaming. They were absolutely screaming.
I love it. We pray to pizza in this house. This is the
I mean, what better worship, right?
Yeah, worship the gods of pizza. I love it. Yeah, in crust we trust.
Yes.
All right. So my last question that I want to ask in this side of the show is, what is a memorable blooper or onstage thing that has happened that maybe you didn't expect, but that happened, then you turned it around and ended up enjoying it?
Wow. Okay. Brain is like fighting between lambic and coffee right now. Give me 1 second. I have to think. Okay. I was at a festival and I was performing an act to Chelsea Dagger by the Fratellis. Do you know that song?
I do not.
Chelsea. Okay, anyway. And I did it. It's my League of Those Hoes act. We made after the movie. Like I have a little skirt, baseball outfit, the whole nine. Nice. Well, I had to replace my underwear because the underwear basically just wore away after doing the act so much. Well, the new underwear I made was too big.
Oop.
And it started to slide down my body while I was dancing. Now, I had not taken off my overdress yet, so I was like, oh my God, I don't have safety thong on. Oh shit. So I'm panicking. And I'm sure everybody saw it in my eyes that I was panicking. I don't know how I did this, but I twisted my legs so that the underwear did not fall below my groin area. And I turned around and bent over and grabbed it, pulled it up, and showed everybody my butt with the thong in it. And they were like, woo! And I literally took that underwear and tied knots with my hands so it would stay on my body.
Wow.
and even tucked it into the fishnets I had on at the time, because I don't cut my fishnets. I used to wear them up by my waist, which I know everyone's like, that's a sin. I'm like, try and be fat. Get back to me.
Yeah, you do you.
Yeah, like, try and be fat. Get back to me.
Right.
So I tied them in a knot and tucked them into my fishnets, and then just did the rest of the act. And I came backstage, and I remember it was Mayhemmer, who was an incredible burlesque performer before she retired. She was just like, girl, I said I was freaking out. I was screaming internally that everyone was going to see my cooch on stage. And they didn't pay for that. So
right.
Yeah, that's
extra later.
Yeah, right. That's $100. Your wife.
Now, was this early on in your burlesque world?
This was like third or fourth year.
Gotcha. All
and
right.
I was just like, I'm never coming back to North Carolina ever again. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. See you never.
And it was really funny because one of the headliners was Lulu, Duchess de Derriere, and I had never met her, but I followed her and thought she was amazing. And she taught a class the next day that I was a part of, and she looked at my face. She goes, "Were you the baseball girl?" And I was like, "Yes, I am so sorry." She goes, "No, that was so slick that you managed to save it on the stage like that." And I said, "I did not have the safety thong on, and I made those underwear too big." And she was like, "No, but good for you, girl." And I was like, "Oh my God."
That's one thing that I love about, performers who are trained in improv and trained in theater is we know how to fix things on the fly maybe a bit more than some others do. And I've seen many an onstage accident that's happened in shows. I've done them myself, and it's the way that the performer handles it that'll sell me. Because you can either hide it or highlight it, right? When something goes wrong.
Correct.
And I'm always on the highlight route. I've done many a play before where I've forgotten lines or another actor has forgotten lines, and I've had to make things up. We've had set pieces break on stage. When I see like a set, for example, I saw a production of Little Shop of Horrors once, and on stage the dentist accidentally knocked over their tray full of like tools and stuff, but did not acknowledge it at all, and just was like, and did not like. I understand sometimes you just like, oh, the show's got to go on, whatever. But had they made a joke out of that or something funny, because the character would have maybe done something like that.
I could not tell you how I tied those knots. I just knew I was in a deep panic. It's like, if I don't do something,
right, you got to just do it. You got to do it.
When I was bent over, I was just shaking my butt, and I literally tied a knot, and done. So
that is great.
Yeah, learn how to tie quick knots, y'all, because you never know.
you never know when you may need to tie up your underwear because they are too big.
Correct. Now the worst MC faux pas I've ever made was actually recently. I called a performer by their government name on the microphone.
Right.
And fortunately, they are a drag performer, so everybody knows. Excuse me, lambic. Everybody knows their government name as well as their performer name. And so the producer was like, "That's not her name," blah, 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 like was yelling at me from the side, and I was like, "Ah!" So I got back on the mic and I said, "Hi, this is a public service announcement. I'm an ass. This performer is," and I just kind of made a joke and I made people laugh, and then I introduced the performer, and they were very cool about it. They're like, "Now you recovered well," but the producer was just bonkers. Like, she was just like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I just spaced. I'm really, really sorry."
Yeah, things happen.
Yeah, and the producer was a friend of mine, so after the show I was like, "Listen, I really am sorry." And she's like, "No, I'm just freaking out because brand new show, and I'm really sorry." And I was like, "Okay, well." She goes, "No, it doesn't reflect on you. You're a great host. Like, I'm not. It's fine." So yeah, that was a big.
That was a moment. Yeah, happens to the best of us. I've introduced the wrong act before. I've said wrong name. Like, it just happens. That's the nature of live theater. I've seen Broadway shows before where shit goes wrong and you have to stop and start over. Like, it's okay to have that happen. It's totally fine.
Can I tell you something? The worst host I ever saw. I'm not going to name them. The worst host I ever saw was actually not in Florida. It was in Atlanta. And any of my Atlanta babes listen to this, you probably know this person. I don't know if they host anymore, but every performer introduction had a personal story. And not just like, "Oh, we went to lunch and there was, a roach in the salad." It wasn't like that. It was literally a 12-minute story about them and the performer. And then it was like, "And now so-and-so." It made the show like 3 hours long. And I was just sitting there in the audience because I had come up to see the show because a couple friends of mine were in it. And I just was like, what the fuck? No one cares. Like, I literally want to stand up and say, nobody gives a shit that you went on a road trip with this person. Oh my God. Just introduce them. Say something cool about them and move on. Like, what?
Yeah. That is wild. I mean, as MCs, we just want quick, succinct, happy, written for us bios and intros that we can just quickly rattle off so the show can fucking go on.
I mean, no one's there to see me more than 5 minutes at a time.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, they're there to see me, but they're not there to see me, you know?
Right. So you are the one to guide the show along. Correct. You shouldn't have to read novels.
Let's all gather in and enjoy the madness, y'all, because there's going to be a lot of it.
It was funny. I was emceeing a show recently, and the performer included their full bio. This is a performer I love dearly, and included her full bio. But she even wrote at the bottom, she's like, "Please don't read this whole thing. I'll be so mad." But you can pull from it what you want, create your own, and then do that. And I was like, "All right, that's a good way to do it. Give me options. Let me know what to do." I've seen some. You may have seen the meme that's been going around that Matt Finish posted about.
Matt Finish is a menace.
I love
He's
that.
a menace.
I need to get Matt on the
best
show.
Way.
Oh yeah, I plan on. I'm getting Matt on the show at some point because I follow the daily memes every single day.
Oh yeah,
and I saw one recently where it was the SpongeBob throwing the paper.
Oh yeah,
away.
They had one for like hosts not reading what's written, and also for performers not writing a bio, and so hosts like just have to bullshit it. I've done that more times than I would like.
Oh yeah.
I've also I want to ask you a question as a host. I'm gonna turn this around on you. What is the longest bio you've ever seen?
The longest bio I've ever seen. She won't care that I'm saying this. The very first time that I ever saw Mary Strawberry's bio, mind you, she's done a lot of fucking things and a lot of really ridiculously crazy things, but we make jokes about it to this day because it was like 3 paragraphs long, and obviously we didn't say the whole thing because she just has a lot of accolades, so we wanted to toot them. So Poppy, who hosts our classic burlesque shows, we would always make jokes about it being a really long fucking bio. But I mean, it was great. I've seen some, but once again, Mary was cool. She's like, yeah, pare it down, take what you want out of it. But I've had some before, I'm not going to name their names, where it was a stream of consciousness that they wrote in first person. I've done this and I've done that and I've done this and I've done that. And it was so fucking long and didn't make sense. And I was like, the hell? And then on the other side of the token, I hosted a show recently where they submitted their tagline as their bio. And
yes, I had somebody once write in their bio, "I don't fucking know," and so I literally said that on stage. I was like, "They don't fucking know what this act is," and now you know they were screaming backstage, like happily screaming, laughing.
That's hilarious.
Said, "You weren't kidding," because I gently reminded the group in the group chat for the show. I said, "If you don't give me something, I'm gonna make some shit up. And if I make some shit up, it's going to be really weird. Like, uncomfortably weird.
You'll make an unbio and it'll be something completely not.
I'm going to say you have a fetish for rubber ducks or something stupid. Like, it's going to be completely bizarre.
I mean, in this business, though, the audience would be like, yeah, this person probably does have a fetish for rubber ducks. It's probably a thing that happens. Wow, that's great.
They sleep with people, that's fine.
Damn. All right. Well, that's good. All right. So those were the questions that I wanted to ask you on the burlesque side. And now for the last little bit of the show, I wanted to just talk about you and get more, into the nitty gritty of you and your life. The one that I love to ask folks as well is what is a skill or talent? It doesn't necessarily have to be a stage or theater skill. What's a skill or talent that you wish you had and why?
I wish I could ballet dance.
Really?
Yeah. I have always been a bigger person. I was always the tallest in my class. And I've been big, I've been small. But the one thing that's never changed is I have size 11 feet. Thanks, Dad. My dad was a really tall person, so I inherited a lot of his traits. So I have size 11 feet, and they don't make size 11 ballet shoes. Mm-hmm. And as a child, I took ballet first and adored it, but was terrible. And the teacher had to come and tell my mother, she ain't it. This is not it. She has the legs for it, but she doesn't have the feet for it. And that's basically what she said. She's tall enough. And if she loses like 35 more pounds, which, I was 12, she'd be great. So my mother decided to put me in tap dance instead.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you something. I tap danced 2 years ago for a burlesque act.
Yeah.
Like I've never lost that talent. I've never lost that skill. I just haven't I haven't really put it to work in the burlesque field. So I was a great tap dancer. Like it was natural. Like the feet were so big that it was just like doing all the taps and the slides and everything was really easy to me.
Right.
But I have never lost my absolute awe of ballet dancers who can get up on point and glide across the stage and just look like the most ethereal fae beings you've ever seen.
I love it.
Yeah. So ballet. I think I would love to be able to do ballet.
Nice. I'm actually doing a ballet production at the end of this month, and I'm excited for that. I love it too. It's just so entrancing to watch. I've done the Nutcracker. Like I've definitely been in that biz, and it's admirable to see what they do. And I've seen actually like ballet schools. I used to play piano for some ballet schools, and I would see like just really intense work, and it's just so hard. And,
it is.
And I mean,
it's very
so amazing to watch.
They're essentially athletes. Like they punish their bodies so much, trying to do the most incredible shit, that it's like, yeah, you retire at like 30 because your body's just done.
Right. No kidding. The next question that I have for you now, obviously working in this business and doing what you do in your day job, what do you do? What is something that you do that you use to prioritize your self-care? What's a self-care routine that you have to keep yourself, motivated and happy?
Coffee.
There it is.
I could listen. There was a time where I had to give up coffee for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had I developed a weird medical condition, and at the age of like 27, and at the time I was in an ER, and I had a cardiologist and a neurologist stand there and look at me in the face and say, if you don't stop, you're going to be dead by 37 because your heart's going to just basically stop. And I was like, what? What do you mean? I'm sitting there with wires on me. So I had to give up coffee for 3 years. And slowly but surely, I've kind of worked it back into my life, but it's now more manageable. Like I can't down a venti triple shot because I will start vibrating and pass out. Like that's not going to happen.
You don't need that.
No. But I use coffee, for lack of a better word, like lubricant. Like it's lubricant for my brain and my focus and my mental well-being. It's almost like a psychological trigger. The first sip in the morning, I just close my eyes and say, okay, it's Tuesday, we got to do this, that, and the other thing.
Let's do it.
Right.
I love it. The coffee is your mind lube.
It totally is. And so I make a lot of cracks about it, and I make jokes about it. There's jokes all over my Instagram about it, and Purple Nightshade's Instagram about it. And everybody who knows me, who has been at my house, I have 87 coffee mugs. I counted once.
That's amazing.
Because I
would love to see that collection.
Like literally, I collect them at this point. I have a built-in coffee bar to my house that my life mate and I, who live together, developed and painted and soldered and did the whole thing.
Hell yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and we have this lovely coffin shelf, like a coffin-shaped bookshelf that holds all of the Halloween mugs because we have a lot. So
that is goals right there.
Yeah, so it's goals. Like first thing in the morning, I feed the animals and I come right to the coffee bar and start brewing coffee.
Okay.
I'll drink coffee in a hot bathtub. I'm that insane. Like I will. Yeah, and it's always hot coffee. Cold coffee is cool, but I'm like, give me a cup. It'll be 102 outside, and I'm drinking hot coffee. And my best friend Edith me out. It's just like, are you all right? I'm like, I'm good. Like, what's up? I'm sitting there sweating, drinking this hot coffee. She's just like, I think it's really wrong with you.
I love it. That's great. I mean, hell, coffee it is. Good to know.
Coffee is self-care. And I think the other self-care for me is, honestly, it is cleaning the house, which I know sounds really like, ew, why?
No, Taryn's the same way.
Because for me, it's going to have an end. Mentally. I do have a very spicy brain. So as the saying goes.
Right.
And so cleaning gives me an end. Like I know once I finish this, it's going to be done. Now, will it come back the next day? Sure. But for now, it's done. So it's a very mental health thing for me to clean and straighten up or wash a dish or just even throw a little laundry in or, straighten up my costume room, which right now looks like Joanne's just threw up. Just Seriously, I put a TikTok about it on today for as long as TikTok is with us, because
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, that's a whole other podcast. But anyway, the point being is that I have to go in there and clean up tonight because I do have some things to do for hosting outfits and whatnot. However, straightening it up, I just kind of stand there and go, okay, it's done. And I kind of take a mental pleasure in that it's done.
I love it. It is cathartic at the very end of that to go, I did this, I got this done, I can be happy now and relax.
Yeah, and it's an easy success for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's predictable. Like this is going to happen because you do it this way.
That's a great point. It's that immediate satisfaction that is
correct.
Got it.
And we need
those endorphins in this.
Yeah, we need some kind of serotonin or something.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So this is another question that I love is how do you define love and what role does love play in your life? I feel like Delilah right now. So tell me, how do you define love?
It's Delilah at 7:00. I used to listen to Delilah when I was a kid. I just thought she was like my aunt or something. It was great.
I just found her on TikTok. It's wild.
You're right. Wow, that's a heavy question. I need more lambic for that question.
Another sip.
I'm gonna use the whole "what is your love language" to answer this because it's very hard for me as somebody who doesn't say I love you easily, and I don't. Anybody who's ever dated me knows this. Anybody who's ever been close to me as like an intimate friend knows that I do not just throw out I love you carelessly. I don't be like, oh my God, I love you so much. Like I don't do that ever. So acts of service are number one for me.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know if I love you, I do stuff for you without prompt, without question, without instigation. You don't ask me, I just do it. I do it with things like time, money, food. Like if you come over to my house and you were highly upset about something or hysterical, I'd be like, have you eaten? Yep. No. And I'll sit you at the dining room table and you just tell me all about it while I cook us something and then I put it in front of you and you start eating. Like that's how I operate. So acts of service are 100% number one. If I help out or do things or like, for example, Edith and I exchanged Christmas presents this year, and my Christmas present was an act of service because she's, going through some things. And I said, what if I came over and cleaned your house? And she just got all happy, like, would you? And I'm like, yeah, that's my Christmas gift to you is you don't have to clean the house.
There it is.
So I did. I cleaned the house literally from front to back.
Hell
every nook and cranny, vacuumed everything, wiped everything down, scrubbed everything, did everything to the point where the whole house smelled like lilac. And she was just like crying on the couch. She's like, oh my God, thank you. And I'm like, Merry Christmas.
Hell yeah. That is the best kind of gift. If somebody did that to me, hell, fuck. That's
yeah,
amazing.
Right. I would cry. Like if someone came and cleaned my house without any prompting, I'd be like, oh my God.
Now you said that the acts of service is a love language that you give, but when it comes to like receiving, what's your go-to for that?
Dick. Sorry, did that come out?
It was good.
Did that come out? I'm sorry.
It did.
It
was the lambic.
Canceled. I have two partners. I'm polyamorous. I'm pansexual and I'm polyamorous, which is a joke I make a lot at shows because I'm just like, everyone is beautiful. I don't know what to do. So that's why I made that joke, which is
I love it.
It's okay, great. But honestly, let me be a little more. I mean, dick is great, but
yes,
for me, it's little tiny gestures.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a really fun story. My life mate used to work at Walgreens, at night shift Walgreens, and he always knew what the sales were going to be on stuff in the store before it would go on sale. So he would go through the sales stuff and use his employee discount and buy 2 of whatever it was and would bring it home. And in the morning, I would wake up and come out to the kitchen to feed the cats, and there would be a note saying choose. And it would be 2 of the same thing that were really cool little items. And I would just be like, oh my God.
That's so cute. I love that.
And so I would choose the one I'd like and he would take the other one. And he did this like every once in a while. And I just thought it was so effing cute that's part of the reason I fell in love with him is because he paid attention enough.
Yep.
So for example, one of the things he brought home during the holidays was those chocolate covered spoons that you can stir into coffee or make hot chocolate with or whatever.
Oh, yes.
And he bought the peppermint kind and he bought the hazelnut kind. And he said, choose. And I cried.
Oh.
Mama Dragon cries, y'all. I do cry. Like, I cried in my kitchen, or our kitchen at the time. I cried in our kitchen for about 10 minutes and just went, this man loves me. That's when it hit me. And we had been together for a few years. Like, he had been living in the house for a few years. And I finally understood in my thick ass head, it's like, this man loves me. He loves me. So when people do stuff like that, even in the smallest gesture, like if they buy me my favorite drink, or if they bring me a tchotchke that they found for $2 in the store, or they come over and watch a movie with me without talking, like we come up on the couch and like play on our phones and watch Netflix or some shit.
Right.
Like, just really small things make me feel important and loved and cared for and paid attention to. And that's really all I ever want. I don't need a bunch of stuff to be like, oh God, look at all this bougie ass shit. Like, I don't need that shit. There are some people who do. And I'm like, do you, boo? But I want, just pay attention.
Yeah,
if you pay attention enough to know what I like, then I'm never going to be disappointed. And
that's a valid ask. Yeah, I love it. That you and I are very similar in that way too. I value that a ton with whoever I'm with, and yeah, no, it's good to have that. It just shows that you matter to them enough for them to, even the little things, to still know and to keep those in mind. All right, I have two more questions before we start wrapping up. What is a piece of advice that you have received in your life at any point in time that's had a lasting impact on you? Like anything that's come up that you've been told by somebody or just learned that has impacted you?
Tried and true saying is, oh God, how does it go? It's on countless memes and stickers. Oh, do no harm, but take no shit.
There you go. All right. I love that.
Like, I've been told that as the day job person. I've been told that as a friend. I've been told that as a lover. I've been told that as a burlesque performer, producer, host, whatever. Like, just do no harm. Like, don't go in there to maim, but don't put up with anybody's bullshit either. If they're coming at you with some bullshit, like, don't tolerate that garbage either. And so it's a balance between, being protected and protective.
Okay. I love it. Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm starting to try to live by that mantra. I'm happy that you said that, because I'm trying to live by that mantra more these days as somebody who's been a people pleaser. And for my whole entire adult life, it's like, it's hard to live by that because I'm okay, or have been okay with taking shit. And I don't want to do that anymore. I'm like we said earlier, I'm just too damn old for this shit. Like,
just go away. Can I tell you one more story? Because I have a great analogy for that. I'm full of stories tonight. It's the coffee. So at one point I was in Jacksonville at a show in the audience, and I was at the bar and I was getting a drink, and this person who very few people liked because they were just ridiculous. Every time they went to a show, they were ridiculous. I had no idea how the fuck this person got into shows all the time. Not as a performer, like as an audience member. And he tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around and I immediately recognized him because I had my glasses on. And I just looked at him and I didn't say anything. And he was like, "How are you?" Blah, 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 blah. And he starts talking to me like we're besties. And I just stared at him and stared at him and stared at him. And I turned back around to the bar and I grabbed my drink and I turned back around. I leaned into him because I was wearing platform shoes. So I was a good 6'3".
Mm-hmm.
So I leaned into him real close. And I said, "I don't like you." And do you know this man stopped mid-sentence and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "I don't like you." So he goes, "What do you mean?" And at the top of my lungs, "I don't like you." And then real calmly turned back to the bar, and everybody around me was like, "Oh shit, what the hell?" And so the bartender was like, "DK, you cool?" Because I know the place. And I was like, "That guy needs to get out of here. Or I'll get out of here, whichever." Yeah. And so the bartender was like, "Done." So they sent, one of the bartenders around from the bar and went to the guy. I was like, "We need to leave." He's like, "I paid for the show." They're like, "We'll get your money.
Yeah.
Get out of here."
Eesh.
So they tossed him.
That.
Yeah, they tossed him. And this is a guy that just had multiple strikes against him as an audience member. And I'm like, how the fuck is he here? So that was just a simple version of do no harm, but take no shit. I didn't swing on him. I didn't curse at him. I didn't do anything like that. I just basically told him what I thought. I don't like you.
Yep.
Loudly.
I mean, you did what probably a lot of other people wanted to do, but just didn't.
Well, I can tell you this. A producer was actually at the bar when I was doing that, and I turned back around and I real calm. I looked at her and I just kind of nodded my head, like gunslingers do at each other when something goes down. Yeah. And she just looked at me like, "Damn." I was like, "Damn, don't piss me off, because I just will not care anymore, and I will not swing on you or do that kind of bullshit." But I'm just like, you're gonna hear it, because I don't give a shit.
I think that is what people need to take most of all from you in this is, once again, you will do no harm, but you will take no shit.
Absolutely not. Like, there's no reason for that shit.
I love it. Boom. Done. All right. I think I've learned some about you tonight, some that I didn't know. And I hope that the people that are listening that are hearing you for the first time, or maybe are fans of yours and are tuning in so they can learn more. I think this was great. I enjoyed learning about this sort of stuff with you and just having a nice little chat with you.
Oh, good. I'm glad I made you laugh.
Of course. Oh, you always make me laugh. All right. So for the people who want to follow you and continue to become your fan, how can they do so?
You can find me on Instagram at Della-Kate Flower. You can find me on Facebook at Della-Kate Flower, Kate. You can find me currently on TikTok at DKFlower49 for as long as TikTok is in existence. You can find me through my website, www.purplenightshadeproductions.com. If you like horror and weird shit, that's all we do.
Yes.
It's horror and weird shit all year long.
I love it. It's not just during Halloween. Halloween
no,
is all
man.
the time.
We'll be doing weird shit in like April.
I am such a fan of the shows that you do.
Oh, thank you.
And I just love it, and I can't wait to see more and to see what you've got cooking up, because I know you've got some great ideas coming up down the pipe. So, people, make sure you follow. Make sure you follow.
Make sure you follow, because we got cool shit coming.
I love it. All right, thank you, my dear, and I cannot wait for us to eventually have our MC roundtable. That will be fun. I will start coordinating that because it needs to happen. And what I would love to do is that in a live setting. Like, find a venue that would let us do a live recording and do it in front of an audience.
That would be like the Tonight Show.
Yeah, it really would. I think
we would all be Jimmy Kimmel up there, just like, and another thing.
What we could do is all of us will pick our favorite classic host or modern host, whatever. And no, I'm not gonna fucking be James Corden. Gross. Yeah, even though I look like him. He was the reason why I was able to play the baker in Into the Woods, because they're like, oh, we're going to get this fat British guy to do it, so now you can.
Oh, God.
But anyway, no, I look forward to that. I look forward to more chats with you. Like I said, go follow Della-Kate. Go follow Purple Nightshade Productions. Go see all of her amazing shows that happen all over the place. Della, you are amazing. Thank you for being here, and I will definitely have you back on soon.
Okay, thank you, Nathan.
You are welcome. The pleasure was all mine. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 9 of The Burly Nathan Show. Once again, you can go to adamandeve.com and use promo code BURLY, B-U-R-L-Y, at checkout. You'll get 10 free gifts, free shipping. You'll get 50% off any items there. It's a great deal. Please go do it. Use promo code BURLY, B-U-R-L-Y, at checkout. You'll get all of those great things, and you can help support my show. Once again, do not forget to tune in to episode 10, which will be dropping soon, where I'll be featuring my lovely wife, Taryn. You'll learn more about her, learn more about me, and we'll get down into the nitty-gritty of our lives, which some of you may be like, why do we give a fuck? And I wonder the same dang thing. I appreciate everybody listening to this podcast. Be sure to follow us and subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts. We will be on YouTube soon. We will not be doing videos of our shows, but we will be putting it on as a YouTube podcast. I've been getting a bunch of people ask me to do that, so that is on the horizon. So coming up on YouTube. But you can find us now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. If you ask Alexa to play The Burly Nathan Show, Alexa will do it. I hope she didn't hear me from the other room. She might have. Anyway, so you can do all of that. You can follow us on all the platforms, and be sure to leave a review, whether it be 5 stars, 1 star. I want to know if you love the show, hate the show. You can write whatever you want. I just want to see you there. You can follow me on all the platforms, Instagram, on TikTok, at Burly Nathan. I love you guys so much. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time, right here on The Burly Nathan Show.